Great. Hello and welcome everyone. So this is a presentation on Fort Myers, the islands, beaches and neighbourhoods. As you will see on screen, Fort Myers is a very chilled out destination. I would love to be in that picture right now, looking out my window at this freezing cold weather and horrible rain. So I'm Natasha. I'm the UK and Ireland rep for Fort Myers. Delighted to be asked to do this by Visit Florida. And I'd love to keep the session as interactive as possible. So first off, I'd just love to know in the chat on the right hand side if anyone has been to Fort Myers before, if they could just pop a yes in the chat just to see how many people may have visited the destination before. Oh, not too many people then. Great, that's fine. Oh, yeah, Lisa, yeah, great, excellent. Oh, Kathleen, yeah, Daryl, perfect. Oh no, Daryl hasn't been. Ah, amazing. Adele, what a lovely place to live in Bonita Springs. Perfect. Thanks, guys. So yeah, basically, we'll start off the presentation and give you a bit of a kind of roundup of where it is. So for anyone who's not too familiar, it's on the Mexican Gulf Coast of Florida. So it's about 2 hours drive from Miami or Orlando, and a little bit closer to Tampa as well. Oh, great! Thanks, Lisa. It's your favorite place. Um, so yes, hopefully. So I'm quite new on this. So any sort of corrections, please pop them in the chat. I have just got back from Fort Myers, so not a full expert yet. But if anyone is, please do pop that in the chat. I'd love to hear that. So yeah, we are served by most of the sort of major airlines. So I flew via North Carolina myself the other week. But we've got flights via American, United, Southwest, JetBlue, Delta, and Air Canada. And the RSW airport is very well connected in terms of getting there from the UK. And that's not just London as well. So yeah, it's quite easy to get to. A lot of people that I've spoken to previously have done a kind of dual center vacation. So they will go possibly to, say, Miami or to Orlando, and then do all the sort of the fun, exciting, kind of hectic stuff at the beginning, and then go to Fort Myers to chill out a little bit. But it's very easy to get to and from. And hot off the press, I don't know if anyone has heard this as well. So we have just announced that Silver Airways is now flying down to Key West. So that's a new route that's literally just opened a few weeks ago. So it's they've just announced that, and that will be running from April. So that's very exciting news for us as well. So for those who have and haven't been, you will want to know that the islands are the real treasures of Fort Myers. So the destination is connected by about 30 minutes drive from the airport, and you can drive right across into the islands. So we have Sanibel and Captiva, and a few other islands as well. So Sanibel is connected via causeway, so a bridge that you can drive right across. So you can take your car and your family, etc. So no worrying about sort of taking a ferry or anything to get across to Sanibel. So that's very, very handy. And as you will see in this lovely photograph, it's pretty empty. So you have most of the beaches to yourselves. So I was there a few weeks ago and hardly saw very many tourists at all, even though this is peak season. And the destination is really starting to pick up again. Oh, I just spotted a question. Yes, so the bridge is back up, Adele. So thanks for asking. The bridge was down for, I think, for about a week after the hurricane. So there was a hurricane called Hurricane Ian back in 2022 in the autumn time. So yes, they're still working on the bridge, but it's fully functional. I drove over it twice the other week. And the flight time depends what route you go. I think I left at about 11 UK time, stopped in North Carolina, and then got to Fort Myers about 8 p.m. their time. So yeah, it's depending on what route you take, but yeah, it's varies from airline to airline. Um, so here's a little bit of a map, which hopefully will help me explain how the destination sits. As we mentioned, the kind of key points. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but this is Fort Myers here, and so this is where you tend to fly into. And then you'll see across here, this is actually Fort Myers Beach Island. It's called Estero Island. And again, you can just drive right across that. The bridge is like a second or two to drive over. And there's some really nice new properties that have opened up there. I was lucky enough to stay in the new Margaritaville, which is right on the beach. And they had just opened a huge, I think it's like one of the biggest swimming pools that the property's ever opened right on the beach. So they've got a lovely beach club, and they've opened a bar called It's 5 o'clock Somewhere, which sort of ties into the music that they play there. The other hotels along Fort Myers Beach include Pink Shell, which is lovely. It's more of a family destination. I think Margaritaville is a little bit sort of more for singles and younger people, although it's quite a mixed crowd there. But there's quite a lively tiki bar around the corner, and I said it's quite a new sort of lively property. And then just moving across, so the causeway is here, so the bridge that runs to Sanibel and Captiva just is right across here, and there's like a main road. So during the hurricane, Sanibel was hit quite hard, and there's been a huge big push to recover the island. But on the plus side, one of the things that is the jewel of Sanibel is the Ding Darling Wildlife Refuge. And the wildlife actually recovered very fast after the hurricane. So there's lots of manatees, there's lots of wild dolphins. You can kayak through the mangroves, and there's 25 miles of cycle path there as well. And it's a fantastic place if you want to just rent a bike and cycle around. You can cycle right along the whole track quite safely, and it looks fantastic. I was recommended to stop off and get a picnic halfway, and then find a nice quiet private beach somewhere that no one else is on, and then cycle back. So didn't get a chance to do that on this trip, but very much looking forward to trying that out next time. And then the island just further up here, which is you'll see it's also connected by road. So that is Captiva Island. And Captiva is again even more quiet than Sanibel. So if you want to completely get away from it, just completely turn your phone off and unwind, that is a place to go. Fantastic opportunity to swim, just relax, have a cocktail on the beach if you fancy that, or do some water sports as well. So one of the things that I didn't mention about Sanibel, and we'll get on to next. So these are some of the fantastic, beautiful beaches. And one of the most fun things to do on Sanibel Island is to look for shells. So this is really, really fun. People come out at dawn to have a look for some shells. And there are over 400 types of shell that you can find on the island. And for you guys, I've actually got some here that I brought back. So I don't know if you can see these, but they are pretty cool. But do feel free to go along. It's very sustainable. They get a huge amount washed in. If anyone's worried about taking shells, they're quite happy for people to do that, obviously, in a small number. But yeah, it's a really nice place to go and pick shells. Thanks for the heart. So you can also paddleboard or kayak. Again, these are the mangroves. So there's one of the largest mangrove places to visit in Florida here. And one of the things that I really want to see on my next trip is the manatees. Thanks, Adele. Yes, it was. So the manatees swim in here. Unfortunately, it was a little bit rainy. I take the rain everywhere I go, so it was a little bit cold for the manatees, so I didn't get to see any. But they come right up to the beaches, and some people have seen them from paddleboarding and kayaking as well, and they look fantastic, really, really cute. Um, there's a huge amount of bird wildlife there as well. There's pelicans, these are owls, and lots of other birds on the island too. Um, so we actually saw some flamingos on a trip that I did as well, and they're not native apparently to this area in Florida. I just wanted to mention that. But the trip that I was on saw huge amounts of different types of pelicans and two random flamingos, which was really fun to see too. And here you'll see on the left our manatee friends and the dolphins. So they are really, really friendly. There aren't any sort of trained dolphins and they don't feed them from the boats. It's very sustainable. But the dolphins you'll find come right over to the boats because they like to ride on the wake of the boats. So they come right up to the boats and are super friendly. And also on the beaches of Sanibel and Captiva, we have lots and lots of hatching turtles. So if you time it right, you can actually catch the turtles hatching as well. So these are some of the beaches and some of the properties on Sanibel and Captiva. You can just walk right across a little road, and this is your beach. And as I said, I think I saw probably about 20 people on the beach whenever I was there, which is quite a difference to a lot of other places in Florida. And yes, so silent mode is ideal if you want to go and switch off. Again, this is a little photograph of the drive into Captiva and Sanibel. One thing you'll probably notice on this, and it's a rule across the islands, is that there's no building that is allowed to be taller than the tallest palm tree. So as you can see here, it's very low rise, very relaxed, and not overbuilt at all. Great. So it's more than just sound and water. Obviously, we have Fort Myers City as well, and there's a music festival. You'll see this clock in the middle has just been unveiled. Unfortunately, it was destroyed in the hurricane, and they've literally just opened it last month. And Fort Myers is very well known for golf courses as well. So whether that's professional, semi-professional, or some amateurs, as you can see on the right-hand side. But there's lots of activities for the whole family to do on land as well. And one of the exciting things that I found here as well was the Henry Ford and Thomas Edison winter estates. So most people have heard of the Edison light bulb. And actually, what I found out on my trip was Edison was not just famous for inventing the light bulb, but he was really researching into rubber. And a lot of the tires and rubber that we use today are basically built around what he researched. And he built a huge, big research factory here. It's less of a factory, more of a laboratory, shall we say. And you can actually go and visit it. And because he was very mindful of what he was using, he actually has grown botanical gardens which you can go walk around. And the reason he set those up was to find the perfect rubber plant that he could use to create the best tires and things like that. And of course, we've got a lovely picture here on the right hand side. So the Cape Coral area of Fort Myers, which is on the mainland, kind of reminded me a little bit of Italy, strangely enough, which you would be quite surprised, but not one of you here that it has more canals than Italy, than Venice itself. So yeah, it's a really, really interesting destination to go and visit, not just for getting away from it all and for the wildlife, but also for some culture. Um, and of course shopping. So there's a fantastic outlet that I had a wander around. It's really, really great shops, so wonderful to stock up. I highly recommend taking a little trip there as well, and bringing an extra suitcase. So yeah, and of course, getting there is half the fun. So not only do we have the new flight down to Key West, but there's a Key West Express. So you can do that as a day trip from Fort Myers, or you can actually do that as perhaps a sort of round trip if you wanted to do that. The idea would be to just take your luggage on the boat, and then you could potentially drive all the way up the other side if you wanted to do that. It's supposed to be quite a fun drive to do that as well. So as I mentioned, the destination is not quite full capacity yet, and there's still a lot of rebuilding still happening for the hotels, but there's a lot of new properties that are opened. So they're currently at about 76% capacity at the moment, but that's growing all the time. And that is all. I have a little video to show you if anyone wants to have a watch of that. It's only 2 minutes. And any other questions, if you could just pop them in the chat and I will answer them after the video's finished playing. Great. I've got a couple of quick questions just to run through, and then I'll let everyone head off for their break. The Key West Express, I think it takes about 2.5 hours, but I need to check that. And prices will just depend on what time of year, etc. Best to just to top up on the website to double check that when people are heading there. Adele, unfortunately, I didn't find a sound dollar, but I will keep looking for the next time I'm there. And also, I think probably my favourite restaurant of our trip was Doc Ford's Rum Bar and Grill. For anyone who likes seafood, they do this amazing, fantastic, like shrimp that they're really well known for in this crazy delicious sauce. And they do incredible Bloody Marys with a prawn stuck on the side of it as well. So if you get the opportunity, head there. It's definitely a lovely place to visit. Uh, any other questions? Please just quickly drop in the chat, or I will let you all jump off. No? I think that's it, and we may have finished a minute early. I'm looking at Gabrielle. Yeah, great. Thank you so much for listening. My details are on there. Drop me a line if you need any more information. And yes, please do keep in touch. We're looking for more and more visitors. As I said, the place is really picking up now after the hurricane, so there's lots of new bookings coming in and some amazing brand new properties opening too. So check those out. Great.